The difference in HIV and AIDS. Most people don't know the difference between HIV and AIDS. Not even some who've had HIV for years. Let's clear that up. This is one of my favorite topics to discuss. Since I can remember, people say a person has AIDS or they died from AIDS. As if AIDS is the virus. At school, growing up, I was known as Lexi Gibson, the girl with AIDS. One day in 7th grade, I showed up to science class to find Lexi has AIDS written on the classroom door in giant letters. I denied it when people asked or said that to me because I didn't have AIDS. I have HIV. What's the difference, you ask? HIV is the acronym for Human Immunodeficiency Virus. It's a virus that attacks your immune system, specifically targeting CD4 cells, a type of white blood cell, which play a crucial role in fighting infections in your body. We have a large amount of these soldiers in our body, fighting bacteria and viruses every day. This particular virus, HIV, is so strong that, when left untreated, it can wipe your immune system out completely. That leaves you susceptible to various infections and diseases. When you don't have any of these soldiers left, you can catch a common illness and die from it. Therefore, you die from the infection, not from HIV itself. HIV is the accomplice, leading us to now understand AIDS. AIDS is the acronym for Acquired Immunodeficiency Syndrome. First, what's a syndrome? It's a symptom. When the doctor says you have AIDS, they're saying your immune system has 200 soldiers, CD4 cells, or less per cubic millimeter of blood. No soldiers equals high risk. I call this the red zone. A normal CD4 count is 500 to 1,800 fighter cells. Sometimes it's in the 2000s. This is great. But when you hit 200, it's time to make some changes because your life is at risk. AIDS is a symptom of prolonged exposure to untreated HIV. Why does this happen? How do you reach the AIDS zone? You reach it usually because you're not on antivirals, medications that fight HIV. When you don't take medication, the virus replicates rapidly and takes over your soldiers. This is a friendly reminder to take your medicine. And if you're HIV negative, get tested about every 6 months since becoming sexually active. The risk is not knowing. If you test positive, get on meds to stop the immune attack and stop the spread to others. It keeps you and others safe. It's a magical pill we have these days. In rare cases, you can be on meds and come in contact with something like COVID, and COVID, being as strong as it is, can deplete your cells, even though the virus is under control. I know because this happened to me. I had about 500 soldiers, and when I got COVID, I dropped to 210. It was terrifying, but I didn't live in fear. I took precautions and did lots of natural remedies to raise my immune system back up. I also just needed time, as well as time away from people. I describe raising the immune system like earning someone's trust back. It doesn't happen overnight, but only with lots of consistency and patience. Now, I'm back to about 550. So exciting. Even though my virus was undetectable, the virus isn't actively depleting my soldiers. An outside source almost took me out. Don't fret because this is the only time this has happened in my 32 years of living with HIV. It's not often we come in contact with something like COVID. Can someone come back from AIDS? Yes. When the CD4 count rises above 200, they're no longer in the AIDS zone. They still have HIV. The AIDS diagnosis goes away because you're no longer high risk. It's truly a status to just let you know you're in danger. The last thing I'd like to touch on is the phrase full-blown AIDS. Usually, people will say someone has full-blown AIDS or they died from full-blown AIDS. First off, they're saying this as if AIDS is the virus. And second, this phrase makes no sense and is completely wrong. You don't die from HIV or AIDS, and nothing is full-blown. In summary, HIV is the virus and AIDS is the symptom. My message to those who are positive: take your medication to live a normal, healthy life, and see your doctor consistently. To those who are negative, use protection when you don't know your partner's status and get tested regularly. And if you'd like to help end ignorance around HIV, please tell a friend or two the facts about HIV and AIDS. One person can easily turn into 1 million. And by doing so, you're most likely saving lives. How beautiful, and thank you so much. Remember, when you remove your own stigma about what it means to have HIV, you'll be met with self-acceptance.